Namaste, everybody. Good morning. Well, actually, I think it's almost afternoon. I meant to do it a little bit earlier today. So, welcome to your weekly guidance and a little bit of a chat for the week ahead, beginning tomorrow, or even tonight if you like. So, tomorrow is, what is the date tomorrow? The 13th of February. So, it has been quite an interesting weekend. It's, as always, I'm absolutely blessed. We have lots and lots of very exciting announcements to make, which we've already started putting on the page today, but there will be many more over the next couple of weeks. Can't quite share yet because we're still putting things together and confirming things, but lots of affiliations with some big names and some very special souls, and some events with there's actually quite a few, but they are super, super big, and we can't wait to share this all with you. So what we've been doing is myself, Mum, Lauren, and Sally, who's one of our authors with White Light Publishing, and she is just a gorgeous soul, and she's so very real and grounding, and she has so many aspirations for White Light, and I'm so excited. We just love having her on the team. And if you haven't come across Lani as well, Lani is the author of the Lucky Astrology books, and she's also part of the team. Well, look, everyone that comes on board as an author with us is already part of the family, and if you are on my other page, White Light Publishing, you'll see just how beautiful this connection is. So, I could go on forever about all of this, and I might do another video talking about that another time because you subscribe to this to get your weekly guidance. So I'm going to do a couple of things today. I'm going to use the Speed of Light Oracle, which I know that one of my friends, Megan Lee, Medicine Woman, she is actually very fond of these cards too, and they just resonate for everything, and I really enjoy using them. So I'm going to draw a couple of cards or see what pops out for these ones, and I'm also going to read a little bit just from one of our authors' books because I think that it needs a little bit more exposure, because honestly it is absolutely brilliant and life-changing. So, and there's a message in particular that I think makes a lot of sense with the energy that's been going on for everyone, I believe, especially over this weekend and the last couple of weeks, based on readings that I've done for people, conversations I've had, and even things that are going on in my personal life. So we'll get to that, and most likely these cards are probably going to reflect that too, so let's see. Okay. Oops, what is this one? Okay. So the first card that, well, actually there's two that are here. Okay. Right. So the first one is prayer. And I know it probably looks backwards to you on here. And the other one that came out is a beautiful Gaia. So these two cards that have come out, look, I'm not going to get into the meanings that are in the booklet in the card, because I think that, and this is my advice to you too, is when you use cards, whether they're oracle cards, affirmation cards, tarot cards, whatnot, just rely on your gut feeling and your intuition and the messages that you get to read what's going on with the cards. Okay, now the first one, well, with prayer and Gaia together, this is something that I'm learning as well. One thing that's really important is that you make sure that you're connecting with nature on a regular basis. I've spent most of this morning outside. It's freezing after the last week we've had with all the hot weather. It's actually, although I'm sitting here and I'm shivering, I have been most of the morning, it's still very refreshing, and it's waking me up a little bit. Not that I'm sleeping, but it just gives you a little bit, it re-energizes you. And look, we had a thunderstorm last night, the moon was in full swing, bright as anything, and it's been raining, it's cold, I just feel alive. So it's nice sometimes to just spend some time outdoors, and if you go for a walk or just sit, read, just sit and think, whatever it is you need to do. But I think especially at the moment there's so much powerful energy going on for everybody. And it's really important to ground yourself and to just clear some of the energy and connect with nature again. And I think that's why Gaia has come up here, is that it really is important to do that so that you can really listen to what your higher self is trying to tell you, what your inner child is trying to tell you, what, you know, those sorts of, those messages and those signs and everything that you get, the knowing that you get, that sometimes if you're caught up in, you know, everyone else's problems or with what's going on in the world or just the busyness of daily life, if you get so caught up in that you forget to really listen to what you're trying to tell yourself, those gut feelings that you've got, those little inklings that you get that you think, oh yeah, no, I'll just push that aside for now. You've got to stop doing it. You know, at some point, and especially now, I believe, is a really important time for you to just focus on listening to what your higher self is trying to tell you. And I can guarantee you that many of you that are listening to this will be sitting here thinking, oh yeah, but that's really scary. And I'm with you. You know, there's things going on in my life right now that are scaring the absolute shit out of me, because I know that if I really, really listen, and take steps towards what I'm being told to do, it is quite scary because it's change, and it's massive change. I'm not quite ready to step into that yet, and I'm still working some things out for myself, but what I am doing is I'm listening, and I'm taking the time to really not just listen but feel what I'm meant to feel. And I advise that, especially with everything that's happening right now, that you do the same. And I've said this to a few people with readings this week. It's painful, yeah, it is. You might cry, you might get very angry, you might just feel like shit. But it's a process and you need to do it. The other thing is as well as listening to yourself, try not to, it's all well and good to seek support and get advice from people, but be sure that you're doing that with the right people. And you'll know who I'm talking about when I say this. It's, you might be tempted to talk to some people in your life, or they might want to know more or say, what's going on with this and what's going on with that. If you don't really feel that they're relating to you on a level that you feel comfortable with, or that they don't fully understand where you're coming from, then don't bother, because they're only going to either, one, tell you what they think you want to hear, which is not helpful, or they're coming from a place of I don't want to say selfishness, because that's not what it is, but they may be looking at it from their own perspective and what they can gain from it. Whereas you want someone to listen, or to, if you want their opinion or you want their advice, you want that from someone who really understands, and is not going to judge you. You know, if you're going to get advice from somebody, or you want to listen to others rather than just relying on your own intuition and your own gut feeling, then make sure that you can trust that they are not judging you, so that you can be absolutely raw and real with them and tell them everything, not just snippets. Because if you're expecting to get advice from somebody or support from somebody, they can't really give it to you 100% if you're not giving them 100% of the story. I hope that makes sense. Excuse me. You are going to find answers to what's going on right now. I promise you, you are. And same as what's going on with me, you know, it's a little bit scary, and it's, you know, it can make you feel uncomfortable and everything like that. But that's okay, because I know, and I can promise you this too, the more uncomfortable it feels, the scarier it feels, it means that something really big is about to change. And that's exciting. It's not, it is scary and uncomfortable for a while. But if you allow yourself to really be in those moments and feel and listen and let yourself grow and find out what it is that you're supposed to be doing throughout all of this to get the answers, then you'll get past that point and you'll grow, you'll evolve, you'll understand. And I know that I'm going to reach that point soon. I'm almost there, I believe. And I would normally share what it is, but it's a little bit too personal, so I'm not ready to do that yet. However, it really is important that when you know that you've got those answers, even if they feel uncomfortable, you still know within your gut and you know in your heart what the answer is. Trust it and go with it. Doesn't mean you have to take action immediately. You might be preparing yourself to take action, but once you know, you know. And it doesn't matter what anyone else says, it's not going to change your mind. So that's my advice to you for this week. One other thing that has come up this week, the last few days from people that I've connected with is feeling guilty. Look, I've been there as well. And look, it could be a number of things that, people call them mistakes. I think I mentioned this last week. They're not mistakes, they're just learning experiences and they're opportunities for growth. There's lots of different things that you might do throughout your life, betraying someone else's trust or doing something that not necessarily everyone agrees with. There's no, I can't stress this enough, there's no use in feeling guilt. It's a natural human thing to do, however, it's not helpful for you and it's not helpful for your soul. So, again, similar to the word mistakes, guilt is just the same as fear. Guilt is just a thought. It's not something that you feel it in the moment, of course, but once you process that and what you need to do is try and go a little deeper and ask yourself, why do you feel guilty? Is it because it's a belief that the majority of society has with the actions that you've taken or the behaviour that you've displayed? For example, if someone cheated on someone else, in a relationship, yes, lots of people say, oh, that's horrible, and how could anyone ever do that, and, all that sort of stuff. But again, this is something that society perceives to be as wrong and disgraceful and whatever else you want to call it. But what you need to do, and this is just an example, it could be any number of things, you might go and, I don't know, you might go and steal something, I don't know. Look, there's a million different scenarios, but there's always a reason for everyone's behaviour. And if you're feeling guilty about something that you've done, whether it was today, yesterday, last week, 10 years ago, you need to let go of that, because it's not, why hold on to it? You're just hurting yourself. And within yourself that whatever it is you did at that time for a reason, and that was how you felt, and that was where you were at that point in your life, that you made this decision, and ultimately it has brought you to where you are today. You may have hurt people, whatever it is that you did, however, that's also helped them too. So if you can look at it in that way, then, look, because I don't want to be sharing people I've read for during the week or conversations I've had, because that's completely personal. But it has come up quite a few times, not saying, in particular scenarios, but people have done things or said things or, and they've got regret and they're feeling guilty and it's really eating them up. And So basically what I want to say to you is really go deep within and ask yourself, why am I feeling that? Why am I beating myself up about it? Why am I feeling guilty? Why am I feeling as though I wish I could go back and change it? Why are you holding on to it? Let it go. You know, you're human. I'm human. We all do things that some people might not agree with, but that's not their journey. It's yours. So forgive yourself if that's what you need to do. It's life. It's all part of the learning journey. You know, we all signed up before we came into this life. You know, we sat with our soul family and our guides and everyone who's going to be connected with us in this life, and we arranged all of this. Every single thing that you've experienced so far and everything that you're going to experience in future, it's all planned. You know, and you've planned it for a reason, to evolve. So just keep that in mind, and you know, if you've got any questions about that and soul contracts and what you've signed up for in this life and why and karma and balance and there's so many aspects of it, but if you want more information, I'm quite happy to have a chat about it, and I can recommend some books as well, because I've read quite a bit on the topic and it's fascinating. And once you have a better understanding of all of this, then you can reflect on your life so far, and you can look forward into the future with much better understanding of why you experience things that you do, and you can view it in a completely different way, and it changes your life, honestly. So if you want more information about this, then I'm quite happy to do another video and chat about it, or you can send me a message, email. Feel free to, you know, I love talking about it, so I could go on forever. I won't now, but yeah, it's something I'm very passionate about. So I'm going to close this week's guidance with a little something that Sally has written in her book, the little book of big wisdom. Like I said, this book is absolutely brilliant. And look, I'm not saying this because I'm biased and I published it. It really is a life-changing book. And if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling lost, if you just don't know which direction to go in, if you're grieving, if you have you know, experienced a loss of some sort, relationship breakdown, you know, anything, honestly, any big life change, or even if you're just feeling like you're stagnant and you can't move, you know, honestly. If you want more information on where to get it, just go to our website. It's there. You can click on our shop on Facebook, or you can just contact me and I can organise it for you. And I meet regularly with Sally because she's part of the team, so if you want a personalised signed copy, go for it. Okay, so this is just one, and I'll read this. Okay. It can be painful to move on from people in your life, particularly if you cared deeply for them or they hurt you in some way. If the connection was strong, it may be all the harder to cope with letting them go. Sometimes, even if there is anger and deep hurt, it's the familiarity of the person or their behaviour that is hard to let go of. The truth is that not everyone who enters your life was ever meant to stay. Some people will enter your life to challenge you to heal your past. They'll help you to recognise and release unhealthy behaviour so that you stop repeating them once and for all. Perhaps you're noticing recurring patterns in your relationships. Perhaps they may even remind you of particular relationships, ones which had a profound impact on your life. People will come in to help you to heal and move on from this. In a way, you hire each other to come together at the right time, under the right circumstances, to trigger something deep within you. This trigger is what comes up for examination and healing. And when the work is complete, some of these people will stay, perhaps as partners or friends, and you'll continue this growth and life journey together. Others will leave your life altogether. This is not a reflection of your worth. It's simply as it was always meant to be. Accept the lesson, bless what was, and let them go. Okay, and I will speak to you again next week. Namaste. Mwah.